Okay, we're going to be starting off with our first video in the unit, The World in 1750. I'm going to start with just a quick overview of the unit. The world in 1750 was marked by powerful Eurasian states, empires, coastal African kingdoms, and growing European maritime empires. The interactions between these states and empires and kingdoms disrupted regional trade networks and influenced the development of new global trade networks. So today we're going to focus on what the similarities and differences between the Ottoman Empire and the Mughal Empire and how they gained, consolidated, and maintained power in their diverse societies. So we're going to start with the Ottoman Empire, but first, just to make sure you understand what those terms are. Gain means gaining power is the process of getting and expanding it. Consolidating power is the process of taking control from other people who also have power. So that might also be considered conquest in many cases or overthrowing another government. Maintaining power is the process of keeping one's power. We will come back to these three terms throughout the course anytime we're dealing with nation states or empires or countries or any other geographic entity or government that's trying to uh, gain, maintain, or consolidate power. All right, so start with the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so the Ottomans were a Muslim empire that ruled over parts of Asia, Africa, Europe from 1299 to 1922. You can see the map on your right. They were a Turkish-speaking nomadic people who migrated from Central Asia into northwestern Asia Minor. They quickly conquered other societies and expanded their empire, establishing a society around Islam and Islamic institutions. As the Ottoman Empire grew, non-Muslim people became part of the empire. The Ottoman Empire was diverse and composed of three major religious groups that contained many different ethnic groups. The major religious groups were the three monotheistic Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, and the Ottoman Empire developed strategies to govern their diverse empire. Okay, so one of the first strategies was what was called the millets. Okay, in the Ottoman Empire, non-Muslims were not required to convert to Islam. Remember that, not required. They did not require uh, conversion. They practiced religious tolerance. Instead, the Ottoman Empire developed millets. Millets were self-governing, non-Muslim, generally Jewish and Christian communities within the Ottoman Empire. So in all the different areas of the Ottoman Empire, there were millets that had the power to regulate their own communities. They collected the taxes in their communities. They set up schools and they organized their own law. The millets were run by a religious leader who was responsible for maintaining the peace within the millet. In return for religious freedom, non-Muslims within the millets were owed absolute loyalty to the Ottoman Empire. Additionally, non-Muslims were barred from high government positions in the Ottoman Empire. The next piece was the Devshirme system. Okay, um, beginning in the 14th century and ending in the late 17th century, the Ottoman Empire created a system called the Devshirme. The Devshirme system required conquered Christian communities to give their sons to the Ottoman Empire as a form of tax. This is often called a blood tax. Okay, and generally it was you gave one child from your family to the empire. These boys were forced to convert to Islam and served as state slaves. Some of the young Christian boys trained to work in the government. They became bureaucrats. They had to take a series of exams to identify their skills, similar to the modern civil service exams. They also took special classes in languages, math, calligraphy, Islamic studies, and weaponry. These Christian boys owed the Sultan complete loyalty and gained positions as guards, scribes, and gatekeepers. This proximity to the Sultan helped the Devshirme gain some wealth and power. However, their children were not allowed to inherit their wealth. The other Devshirme served in the military corps. They were called the Janissaries. The Janissaries were mostly forced Muslim converts and helped the Ottoman Empire to expand its territory. Okay, so here's a little bit more on the Janissaries. They were the elite army of the Ottoman Empire till 1826. The Ottoman Empire used Janissaries in all its military conquests, such as the capture of Constantinople in 1453. The Janissaries were mostly made up of young Christian boys from the Devshirme system, and they owed complete loyalty to their subject and were required to follow strict rules such as celibacy and no marriage until they left active duty. Okay, so just a couple of the sultans here, the main ones might come up here and there. Most likely would be either Mehmet the Conqueror, who conquered Constantinople, ended the Byzantine Empire. Um, you have Bayezid II. He consolidated the Ottoman Empire. He served after Mehmet, prevented a Safavid rebellion, and he rescued Jews expelled from Spain and allowed them to resettle in the Ottoman Empire. Then there is Selim I. He conquered modern day Iran, expanded empire to conquer the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt. So he had a lot of conquest and he extended the power over the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. Probably the most famous of the Ottoman sultans is Suleiman the Magnificent. He ruled over the empire at the height of its power. He expanded the empire to conquer more of North Africa and Europe. He built strong fortresses to defend the places he conquered and adorned the cities and mosques with mosques, bridges, aqueducts, and other public works. He also wrote a law code that revamped the entire law code and consolidated the law code of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so now we're going to turn and go to the Mughal Empire. Okay, the Mughal Empire is in India. Okay, so Mughal Empire was a Muslim dynasty that ruled parts of modern-day India and Pakistan from 1526 to 1857. The Mughal Empire was a Turkic Mongol or Central Asian in origin. The Mughal Empire conquered areas that included two major religious groups, Hindus and Muslims. Okay, some of the more famous sultans. Babur, he is the founder of the Mughal Empire. He tolerated the practice of Hinduism. Notice that religious toleration, like in the Ottoman Empire, exists in the Mughal Empire, but that will change. Uh, Akbar the Great, probably the most famous of the Ottoman sultans. He recaptured territories that had been lost from Babur's empire. Um, he also encouraged religious tolerance by selecting Hindus to lead parts of the government and the marrying of Hindu women. He ended the non-Muslim tax known as the jizya. Hindus were allowed to govern with their own laws and have control over their institutions. Strengthened trade between the Ottoman and Mughal empires, and he established relationship with Europeans and Ottoman empires to acquire firearms. Okay, Jahangir, who is Akbar's son, you'll see, he included large numbers of Hindus and Shiite Muslims in his court. He built beautiful monuments, gardens, and palaces. He developed Urdu, which was a mixture of Arabic, Persian, and Hindi as the official language of the empire. He encouraged relationships and trade with Europeans. And lastly, probably the last of the great Mughal emperors, but he's also one who changed the Empire from a religiously tolerant empire to a non-tolerant. He expanded the Mughal Empire to its greatest size, but he ends the policy of religious tolerance for non-Muslims. He excluded Hindus from government positions, imposed Sharia Islamic or law over the empire, and persecuted the Sikhs. So Aurangzeb is not really a great guy. He is a religious zealot, and his policies lead to the beginning of the weakening of the uh, Mughal Empire. Okay, so in your packet you also have this chart that I want you to fill in, this Venn diagram. So let's get that done.